Welcome to today's episode. I'm going to answer a ton of your questions because they deserve to be answered, so I'm jumping right in. Josh, why don't you introduce us to your helper? Come on, he's not a monkey on the drums. It's true, his name is Nick, and he's the special guest of today's episode. Come on in, Nick.
Hey everybody.
That was a smooth intro, bro.
Thank you.
That was good. Your drummer looks like he cooked meth as recently as this morning.
What can I say? I live in Independence, Missouri, which was the former meth capital of the United States, so that's neither here nor there.
Glad you're here.
Yeah.
Take these questions.
All right, Hot Smudge Sunday commented, $400,000 on a rig that sounded like farting into a kazoo. This cracked me up.
You're welcome. They're referring to when I built the $400,000 rig in Nashville with the dumbbells.
Yes.
And we
Two dumbbells.
Two dumbbells, some crazy Les Paul. Yeah, it didn't sound good. That was the point of the video. I think a lot of people missed that.
Yeah. Edward Hancock commented, your electric in effect has a built-in preamp if you use its controls effectively.
No, actually, I found an ancient scroll that answers this question. Yeah. What does this say?
It says no.
No, that's absolutely false. So your guitar is completely passive. It's not a preamplifier because it's not amplifying. And no, just because something's before your amp doesn't mean it's a preamp.
Yeah.
That would make your cable a preamp. It's a good question, though.
It is.
Yeah, it's great.
Ori Fishburne commented, quick question for you, Josh. Just out of curiosity, why do you prefer the Fender Bassman amp? Nothing against that amp at all, just wondering why you're attracted to it.
I'm attracted to it because they're lovely, but really, I like 50-watt amplifiers, and I like the Bassman amp because I think it's the best amp ever made, and a lot of everything we play is kind of based around a Bassman, unless it's a Vox thing. But yeah, it's just a great, clean amp.
So on the Univibe episode, Sam Plecker commented, try the Drive Bell Vibe Machine version 2. Amazing.
I think this was said like 100 times on the episode, people commenting. I had never heard of Dry Bell. And so I looked it up. It looks really cool. We were just at NAMM, and I walked up to them, got to know them. They're sending me one, so I will do a new Univibe episode. We'll talk about Dry Bell, but it's really cool. And yeah, it's new to me. Thanks for all the comments. See, I don't know everything.
Yeah.
I don't know everything.
Surprise, surprise.
It's amazing.
Dennis Cover Band. Do you think
Yeah,
he's
I
in a
think
cover band called Dennis?
I think that's his real name.
Josh, do you think the concept of transparent tone, typically coined when referring to boost/overdrive pedals, has some mythological elements to it?
Yeah, I think it's an overused buzzword.
Doesn't transparent typically mean that when it's on, it's not really changing your amp?
Yeah, I think if it could mean something, so like if I refer to the Morning Glory and say that, you know, I'm trying to say you have your guitar and your amp, and you turn this pedal on and it doesn't ruin either of those, it just adds to it in a way that's not in the way. Yeah, like a rat is not transparent.
Right.
But a lot of people mark it with that word and it's annoying.
Right. John Malapit says,
Okay.
I'm an electrical engineer at an aerospace company, and every circuit is built with surface mount resistors. If
Okay.
rockets can depend on surface mount resistors, then so can your pedals.
It's beautiful. I mean, it's a TED
Practically
Talk.
poetry.
It's practically poetry. This is from the Myth episode. Yeah, it's very true. He said it. Thanks, John.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. This is from the Compressor episode. Hi Josh, awesome episode by the way. Excellent job with the explanations. With that said, I want to buy a Japanese-made CS3. Is there a difference between the Japanese and Taiwanese-made compressors? Are these compressors actually good? Thanks.
Yeah, the only differences in most of these Boss circuits are going to be cosmetic, like the back plate will look a little different. You might have a slightly longer dash, like CS-3, the dash is longer. Circuits are usually identical, and the factories just changed the plant because it was cheaper to make them in another plant, or the other plant burned down. These are real stories.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so there's all kinds of stuff like that. But yeah, if it says it's a Boss CS3, don't ruffle your feathers. They're all going to sound pretty much the same. More than pretty much. I know that when I say that, someone's about to be typing, what did pretty much mean?
Vic Dyer says, would you also say for an amp, point-to-point is not sonically different than wave soldering? Last, in your experience, does point-to-point have advantages to wave soldering?
Yeah, so he's getting into like completely hand-built versus machine-built. I think the advantages for machine-built outweigh point-to-point in a few ways. The problem is they'll say this: my hand-wired amp sounds better than my PCB amp, but like one's a Vox and one's a Fender. Like that makes no sense.
Right.
You can't.
It's like comparing apples to oranges.
Yeah, it's even worse. There's like no control, and they just say like, this sounds better. Well, it's probably just you like the circuit better.
Right.
So it's a really tough question, but in our experience, we really like wave soldering. It solders better than I ever did, you know. And you built pedals.
I have built pedals.
Does a machine solder better than you?
Most definitely.
So yeah, what's the song playing at the start of record time, Nick? What is this song?
Well, it could be a couple songs because I sometimes mix them up, but all the music on the vlog I composed, so it's one of those songs. I think I only ever titled it like New Jam, but yeah.
New Jam.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get asked that a ton. I think people aren't realizing like when we're doing the vlog and from the start of the vlog, you've created basically the whole format. I mean, the music that's going on, the way it cuts, the motion graphics, all of that. So a lot of you guys don't realize that. Now you know. The more you know.
The more you know. Koa Mister says, does that KC on your t-shirt stand for Kansas City?
Absolutely.
All right, next one. James R says, so on the topic of the rat, I was hung up on the vintage rats and the JHS rats having better chips than the Chinese clones. I still got a Moore Black secret because money, but still feel like one day I'll upgrade. Thoughts?
Yeah, so yeah, don't worry about it. You're saying that one chip might be better, but you bought a Chinese clone. Well, all the chips are made in China. Yeah, if you like the Moore Black Secret, you're not gonna like an old rat really anymore.
Good to know.
I feel knives pointing into me now.
That's okay.
That's fine.
Here's another one about surface mount stuff. Can a surface mount pedal have components changed if they go bad? I can change a through-hole part myself with a heat sink and a solder sucker, but it seems like a surface mount, you have to replace the whole board.
Yeah, that's false. We have a full-time repair technician here. So all the JHS pedals, you know, full lifetime warranty, no question. We don't even need a receipt. Send it in, and we fix surface mount all the time.
Brad Neighbor says, how about the myth that some, or all, fuzz pedals sound better powered by a cheap battery instead of an external power supply?
Yeah, I think it's totally a myth. First of all, what is better? Like, I've known you for like 12 years, and we don't like the same stuff.
No.
I might be like, this is better, and you'd be like, I don't like that.
Yeah, I've heard you in the next room playing a fuzz pedal, and it sounds amazing, and then I play it, and I'm like, I don't like it. You know.
There's no better. But the science behind what he's asking is some cheap battery. Supposedly, the battery might drain quicker, and the 9 volts becomes 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever. It's all subjective. And there's been designs that I've made where I purposely drain the 9 down to something to make it sound like I want. Some of you might not like that. It's all subjective, and it is a myth. Yes, myth confirmed. Batteries don't make something better.
Yep. Lucas Klatt says, how did you find out about the XR OD1 that you involved in the JHS Bonsai? Did you try other XR effects?
Great question. So I was in LA about 5 years ago. A guy walks up, he says, hey, I'm from Poland, and there's this really cool effect line. There's some various things from there. I'm gonna send you a couple. We traded, and he got them, and then he sent some more, and then I was like, hey, you got any more of that? You know, you gonna send some more? And it's for years now, I don't know exactly how long, I have collected with him a gob of Polish pedals. And XR is one of the brands. And right now I think there's like 6 drawers full in there where we normally shoot. When I was doing the bonsai, I was looking for the classic, gotta put these in, but then I wanted some weird stuff, like the metal screamer was one of those. And I had this feeling that XR drive that I really liked was some type of tube screamer. Popped the back open, looked at it for a bit, and it was like, yes, this is a very strange version of the tube screamer. I will do an XR episode.
Blair Millward says, so Just trying to understand where the problem with having, for example, 6 Boss buffered pedals comes from, if the buffer fixes the capacitance issues.
Yeah, it's fixing capacitance issues, but just because you don't have capacitance doesn't mean you can't all of a sudden have extra noise. So when you're using a buffer, that means there's a circuit on and your signal's going through the parts, and just physics says the more things in the path of something, the more noise.
Vasily87 says, I just found out about your channel. I'm new to pedals. By the way, as a non-native English speaker, I love your accent. Where are you from?
I've never had anyone say they love my accent. I'm from North Alabama, in the northwest corner, an area called like Muscle Shoals. I don't know what the accent is. I don't feel like I have a southern accent. I know I do at times. I think it's a mix of like, I left there fairly young, traveling with bands and stuff, and like music saved my accent maybe. You know, like when you're listening to tons of Brit rock and stuff, you're correcting your, hey y'all, come down here.
That should be the name of our first album. Music saved my accent. Elliot Henderson asks, why do we still use jack leads if they lose so much signal? Wouldn't XLR leads be better?
Who says that 1/4 inch jack leads lose signal? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Myth.
Myth.
We're branding this myth.
Yeah, that's a myth.
Daniel Martin asks, am I understanding this right? If I have a Boss chromatic as first in my chain and an RV6 at the end, is my board considered to be sandwiched with buffers on both ends?
Yeah, the Boss pedals are buffered, so you always have something going on. Yeah.
Cool. David Poveda, and the Prestige is a buffer as well, or not?
Yeah, the Prestige, we purposely market it as a buffer, booster, enhancer. So it'll buffer your signal when it's on. It will boost because there's a volume knob, and it enhances because it has like some EQ tweaks. So yeah, a lot of pedals act as buffers when they're on. That's never been the problem. The buffer problems come when a bunch of true bypass pedals are off and it's just a ton of cable with nothing helping them.
Matthew Diaz says, great information. Does the same rule for fuzzes apply for overdrives? I think he's talking about order.
First. Yeah.
Order.
No, overdrives, they're not a fuzz. So fuzzes being first in your chain applies pretty strictly to germanium fuzzes in most cases, or really old vintage fuzzes. They just need to have your guitar touch them directly.
Michael Gray asks, serious question. What's the difference between using a buffer at the start and end and just turning up the high end on your amp a little bit?
That's a really good question. So the deal with the buffer is it's keeping things real. It's keeping them pure. Your guitar is meeting the amp properly. If you don't have a good connection and a proper flow there, you can turn up the high end and get more bright signal, more treble, but it's not fixing the problem. You probably introduce noise and you still have bad low end, weird mids. It all depends. That would be like a mini Band-Aid.
Gotcha.
That comes off like immediately.
Right. Like a used Band-Aid.
That would be like, yeah, like here's a used Band-Aid. I have a little prick on my hand. I'm gonna slap it on.
Gross. All right, Spencer Cox. You ever gonna do that seesaw?
Yeah, man. Gonna do it.
You're gonna do it.
There might be stuff in the next room going on. I don't know.
Probably not. This is from the Compressor 101 episode.
Okay.
Where did that slide playing come from? Amazing. Loved it.
Where did it come from?
Where did it come from? Where does slide playing come from?
Slide playing comes from somewhere. So I got into slide pretty early on playing guitar. I would sit around in my room and there were like months of just practicing slide technique and stuff. I play kind of strange. Most people play a pinky slide. I do ring finger. And like what we played is like some of the first style stuff I ever did, like David Gilmour.
Cool.
Pearly Gates says at 256, how much did he get for holding up that chalkboard, writing board? How much you get for that?
You'll never know. This is my favorite question of all.
I'm gonna ask you this question.
Yeah, ask it.
All right.
Okay.
Francisco Babadilla? I don't know, I slaughtered that, it's fine. Francisco Babadilla asks, question mark, 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 question mark.
So,
What do you want to answer to that?
Yes. Brian Chase, I'm going to say Chase. Brian Chase asked, Dear Josh, why, so formal.
I like it.
Why is that when I turn up the compression knob on my diamond compressor, the volume increases instead of decreasing?
It's a really great question. Diamond designed their compressor to compensate for that. It's really smart.
Very cool.
Diamond considered turning that compression up and the decrease of volume. So my guess is, I have some ideas of how that probably works. Turn the volume up and they're compensating with a gain stage to bring the compression up.
Christopher Land, I don't have a compressor pedal, but what would be a good compressor pedal on a budget?
Yeah, go used, reverb.com, Boss CS3, CS4. Danelectro, the little, if you want to go really cheap, they made some little pedals. I don't know what it's called. They usually have silly food names, but they're real small and they're plastic. Go to Reverb, type in compressor, sort lowest price first, and honestly try one.
Again, referring to compressors, Dan Stewart asks, would you ever place one before a fuzz?
Yeah, you just got to try stuff. Like fuzz could mean 1,000 things. So David Gilmour, who we've talked about a little bit, he places compressors before big muffs all the time, but big muffs don't have a problem with pedals before them. I would never take a compressor and put it before like an old germanium tone bender. It would sound wretched. But the beauty is, in like 60 seconds, you can try anything.
Just flip them around.
Try it around. Yeah.
Awesome. Clint Miller 23 asked, Josh, can you explain the tonal difference, if any, between the Pulp and Peel and the Whitey Tidy?
It's a great question. They're both FET compressors. They're both based around a very similar topology. You could say the Whitey Tidy is like the miniature, stripped down, easy version of the Pulp and Peel version 4. You could say that. Joss, not Josh. I'm Josh. Joss. Curtis, what camera do you use? Let's talk about our cameras.
Yeah, we use the
because I'm a videographer
yeah,
now as well.
yeah. We use the Sony A7 III, and that's it. It makes the guitar tone sound better.
It absolutely does.
Bob Barry asks, what do you think if we use 2 preamp pedals on a pedal board?
It's awesome.
This is my question. What would be like a practical application for having 2 preamps on your pedal board?
I would instantly say one of them before my drives and one after, and then you can do crazy stuff.
This guy's name is the best. The Blues Prosecutor says...
honestly,
That's
I want a
amazing.
shirt. I want a Blues Prosecutor shirt.
Yes, this is fantastic. All right. The Blues Prosecutor asks, so what can a preamp do that an EQ pedal can't?
So this is a really great question because you see me talking about preamps and you see bass, mid, treble, and it seems like, oh, it's like a parametric EQ pedal. The thing with these preamps is we could say we have 3 preamps in the JHS line: a color box, haunting mids, and the Clover, and they're vastly different.
Yeah.
And they're vastly different because they're tuned to do specific things really well. You take a Boss GE7, can you do the similar things? Yeah, but honestly, kind of not. You'll never pull off a color box. You could do some of the haunting mid stuff, but it'll take you forever. And then the Clover, you're just never gonna get that amount of gain and clarity from it.
Right.
It is confusing because we talk about preamp shaping tone and EQ shapes tone, but an EQ is very much like, it is the foundation of something. It does a few things. You gotta really know how to use it. It can be complicated.
Yeah.
The preamp is really hard to mess up.
Stagnatic asks,
All right.
so if the Clover or other pre is first, is my fuzz or compressor after it?
Put it wherever you want it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you might want to put it before certain fuzzes that can handle it. You shape the front end of the fuzz. You might want it after the fuzzes to shape the back end of the fuzz. And there's so many variables.
Yeah.
Once again, it's like, just try stuff.
Yeah, just try stuff. Caleb at MGW asks, Josh, what's up with the special limited edition t-shirts?
They finally shipped. I'm seeing Instagrams everywhere, Twitters, people wearing them. Loud is more good.
Chris Arias asks, forgive my ignorance, but can someone help me understand the difference between JHS's Clover and haunting mids?
Yeah, so haunting mids is a mid-frequency preamp. It only cares about what the mids are doing. And then the Clover is a whole other ballgame because it has a very wide tone range. It's crazy powerful with volume. So it's built to drive your overdrive pedals differently, break your amps up, cause overdrive that's not naturally there. It has a line out for acoustic instruments and bass. The Haunting Mids is really made to do one thing, to take the mid frequency that makes us stand out in the mix and do that in all kinds of variations with a few controls that are simple and it never sound bad. Just always mess with the mids.
Cool. Misfit Monster asks, hey Josh, if I had to buy one and only one JHS pedal, what would it be? If I had no pedals of yours, what should I get? Only one, the first.
Let's both answer this. So I would
Okay.
say Morning Glory. Not a bad sound in it. Works with any guitar amp, and it's kind of a foundational need for most guitarists.
I think I'm just going to suggest my favorite, which would probably be either the Spring Tank or maybe the Panther Cub.
Can't go wrong with either of those. All right, so there are a lot of questions about the last episode where you hear an imaginary bass. It's like, it's not imaginary because you're hearing it.
Yeah.
So we've been doing these things where we jam,
Yep.
you and I get together, and suddenly there's a bass guitar in this one. I think it's the 4th time we've done the live jams and you hear bass. The bass player is not there. So we hear who's the bassist, where's the bass player. I hear keys as well. That's true. Is there a hidden bass player? He gets no screen time. Hidden bass player, stealth. And then we have why is there no bass player, etc. Who's the bass player?
I'm playing bass.
You are.
Yeah.
It's the beauty of just multi-tracking.
Yeah. So for our spaghetti western sort of song that we did, we actually tracked a bass loop before we started jamming so that we could play for the bass loop. And for the other tracks, I went back in and added bass because I thought it would sound better. And the keys, same thing. I played a keys loop for the Gilmore
like a
Girl,
Juno.
106, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just played a little synth loop. I looped it for like 10 minutes so we could actually get the jam right, and we just played to it. It was actually really fun.
So the first time we did this was fuzz and trim.
Yep.
We're kind of just tired of demoing, especially our product. Like, we hate demoing our product. So we were like, how can we do this in a way that's more creative? So you and I just got together, 2-piece, and jammed, and it went really well. And I like doing it, you like doing it. And then as a rule of thumb, I think if they hear any extra instruments, you're just doing it after we've done the live jam.
Yep. Here's some bass pedal questions. Daniel Diago commented, I know this probably isn't a new request, but could you make a video about bass pedals?
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Absolutely. I want to say so much right now. I'm restraining myself.
Let's do it. Lahel Fabian says, hello, does the Whitey Tidy work with a bass?
It works really well with the bass, and the clean blend makes it work really well, weller. All right, so here's some questions about drums. We're a guitar pedal company, but we're getting a lot of drum questions.
We are.
So in these live jams, the drums have been sounding really great. I cannot believe how good the drums sound, Seriously, what the heck, question mark. I have to agree. Off topic, do you have any tips for getting a great snare sound? So we're getting a lot of questions like, how do these drums sound so good? And some of them are like, what's going on? I don't even see like 2 mic. Like,
right.
So yeah, talk about the drums.
Yeah, so for the drums, they're super simple. I was recently gifted a pair of 64 in-ears.
Yep.
So I use my 64 in-ears when I'm setting up mics, and first thing I'll do is set up a 57 on the snare and hit the snare over and over again and move the mic around until it sounds like a snare. And then I will use our color box 500 series, and I'll just shape it to kind of take stuff out I don't like or add some stuff in. And then we have an AEA ribbon mic as an overhead, just a mono overhead that I use. Same thing, I'll mute all the other mics and just listen to the overhead, use the color box to EQ a little bit, and then same thing with the kick. I use a RE20, is that what it is?
Yeah, you've gone between episodes, the latest have been RE20. You were just using a beta 52?
Yes.
Maybe it's called
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I use the RE20 on the kick drum, just like kind of medium in the sound hole there. Same thing, I just kind of hit the kick over and over again into a color box 500 and just shape it until I like it. And then in our UAD console, I put
Yeah, we use the Apollo and we use all the UAD software.
Yeah, so I use a LA2A compressor on each microphone, just compressing like 1 dB, just really light, because we'll end up putting a mastering compressor in the full track, and I just don't want to overly smash it. Yeah, and I just kind of play around with it until it sounds good. So it's a really simple mic setup. The trick is to just play to the microphones.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. Like, I've played with you for years, and I think it's like guitar. It's like you got to play to those mics, and you being a really good drummer is one reason the drums sound so good. It's tough. It's hard to explain that. You know, there's no quick answer. Like, we have a great kit, we have a great stuff, but if you're just bashing the heck out of the drums, it's not going to sound good.
And the big part of the snare too is I get anxiety attacks trying to tune drums. Luckily, we have a really fantastic drummer friend who works at a studio across the way, and he helps me tune drums because I don't like tuning drums. So he really helped me dial that in.
Yeah, one last thing is I don't think you ever overthink it.
The more you overthink it and the more time you try to like add stuff, it just ends up just sounding like garbage, and we don't got time for that. We got to put one of these out every week. So we have a few questions about some of the guitars you've been using.
Okay.
Johnny McConnell says, tell us about that BiLT Revelator. What about the white semi-hollow body with the P90s? And scrolled through hundreds of comments and couldn't find anything about that white guitar. So you want to show those really quick?
Yeah, let's show them super quick. I'll do an episode sometime. So this is the BiLT Revelator. This is custom build in the sense of the color, and it's really crazy because it has basically every pickup I would need to demo a pedal well. And so I have a lipstick strap pickup. I have a, that's a Jaguar. Yeah, Jaguar bridge pickup, mini humbuckers. I can turn them on with buttons. I can coil tap it. I love this guitar. It does a lot of things really well. Yeah, next up would be the Fano GF6, which is the semi-hollow. This guy, this is what I'm playing on the slide stuff. People keep going on and on. So it's a GF6 made by Fano, but it's a one-off that they only did this one because they added a third pickup in here.
Okay.
So I can do like Strat sounds. If I pull up on this knob, it turns on the middle.
Oh, cool.
Once again, a mastery. Almost every guitar I will ever play has a mastery. First time we ever played live with fuzz and trim, I used this guitar. I cannot pronounce the model. Arcturus? It's semi-hollow. There's something about this guitar. It's light as a feather. When I have a lot of distortion, I can pull feedback out of it instantly. I can manipulate it really well, and you hear that in those tracks. Lawler wide ranges, mastery. Dope. The neck is made out of some kind of Spanish
magic wood?
Spanish castle. Like they took a castle and made the stones into wood. It's amazing.
Oh, is it like petrified?
Petrified Spanish castle magic.
Wow.
That was a lost.
That's also going to be the name of our first single.
And then this guy, Revelator SuperTone. I've played this a lot, and people ask. Custom color build, obviously, the red and white. It has two, I think these are McNeely pickups. Whatever they are, they're amazing. Yeah, and again,
mastery.
Mastery.
Got to have it. On our last episode, we got a ton of questions about your pink 12-string Tele.
Yeah.
Magic.
Yeah, so I love pink guitars.
Same.
I have a couple or three. We have some more possibly coming. Nash is my favorite guitar company, I think, in general. With a blanket statement, Nash. We have several around here.
They're very good. And
this is just a 12-string Telecaster that is perfect in all of its ways.
It is.
I don't know what else to say about it. It's like you have a micro pog on your guitar. So we're playing something distorted at a riff, and it just sounds like you turn on an octave. People think a 12-string is like, you can only play free-falling.
Yeah.
No.
You can also freaking shred. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a lot of questions asking about our jam songs.
Yeah, I think it's like, are these songs yours? When are you going on tour? Is there a place to buy them? Yeah.
Basically, when we sat down to do these jams, they're all original. They all come from the heart.
I mean, to paint an even bigger picture is like, we have jobs at VHS. Right. So like I'm running a company.
Yeah.
You're in here working continually, you know, there's tons of stuff you're into. We're like, hey, at 1:30, let's eat our lunch, come in, get your emails. And that's sometimes we walk in, you walk in, and it's like,
time to jam.
Got any riffs?
Gotta pull it
And
out.
I'll look at you and be like, you got a sick beat? I mean, and
yeah.
And
you
usually,
just gotta go.
how long does it usually take per song?
It takes usually, well, per song, boy, oh boy. Sometimes takes a while.
Sometimes it's quick, and sometimes there's
Yeah.
been a couple evenings, and we've deleted a couple tracks too, I think.
Yeah. There's some unreleased stuff that
Some
is
of it's
fine
making
that
sausage.
Some of my favorites came out really fast, and some of them took a long time. A lot of times, we're trying to demonstrate, which is demonstrate a
tricky.
specific effect, which can be tricky because usually when just a bunch of people get together and jam, it just
Compression was really hard.
compression was very
because
hard.
compression, you don't want to hear it.
Right. So we're
technically.
trying to demonstrate a sort of
Invisible.
yeah, an
effect.
invisible effect. That's why I like the fuzz and tremolo. I had so much fun with that.
So easy.
But then we ended up finding really creative ways to, like the slide thing. Like we wouldn't have, like probably wouldn't have
Yeah,
thought
it's-
about doing that, and that was really.
But I
cool.
think the point is, we literally sit down.
Yeah.
And I'm setting where you see us being filmed, and we figure it out, and then hit arm on the cameras and do a few takes and
Yeah.
move on. And it's like,
Yep.
yeah. And can you buy them?
Maybe.
Would
Maybe
you?
someday.
Would you buy?
If you would.
I don't know what you
I don't
want.
know.
If we did a vinyl, would you buy it? And if we put it on iTunes, would you actually listen to it? We'll let you be the
Put
judge.
it down in the comments, because I mean, we're down for anything.
And would we go on tour?
Listen here, I got
Let's just shoot straight.
I got 2 kids, and so
I got 3
so
kids.
maybe.
We got a lot of kids, and I don't know if that lifestyle is really in the cards, you know?
Yeah. Maybe we'll do some like local shows. Maybe we'll do like a Panera Bread.
Sobtech.
Okay.
We get it.
Everybody wants to. Look. They're all over the screen. I don't know if you can see all of the comments
It's
about the
insane.
Sobtech episode. It's gonna happen, folks.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. I have an interview scheduled with Mike Matthews. You and I will go to New York City, sit down with Mike. I'll interview him. We're gonna get answers honestly no one has.
There's lots of questions.
Yeah. I have a ton of stuff no one's ever seen, and I don't want to like halfway do a video.
Yep.
Here's a bunch of questions about you, Nick. Let's
okay.
close it out on this. Your drummer needs a droopy mustache to truly achieve the Pink Floyd, and dual drummers, maybe. I don't know.
We could clone me.
Yeah.
And give my clone the genes for mustaches.
Is your drummer joining the Australian Army?
I
What does
think
that
that's
mean?
because I was wearing camo and this hat, and this is kind of like a Australian sort of style thing. But no. Well, this has been fun. Should we do a record time?
Let's do record time. Today's record time is brought to you by Nick.
I picked Spoon Transferance because this album's got amazing drum tones on it. The song Is Love Forever is my favorite song on this track. That has the most bizarre, like, backwards drum beat. That, like, it flips around in this weird, crazy way. The drums almost sound sort of like reversed in this. I don't know how he did it. Dimino is the engineer, producer, drummer on this. He is a flippin' genius.
Unbelievable.
We've asked him about how he gets his drum tones, and he's just like, I don't know. I think the bricks in the wall are just weird. Like literally that's I.
He
I don't
thinks it's the
understand.
bricks in there.
It makes us crazy, but he's an amazing guy. We had an opportunity to visit his studio, and he did a cool video with us about the 500 units. So he's amazing. What's your favorite track?
Who Makes Your Money is like on this album. It's my favorite Spoon song, and in my top 10 favorite songs ever recorded in the history of ever. It's that
amazing.
good. I've obsessed over Spoon for years and years. I mean, down to the Color Box, Gimme Fiction, their record kind of inspired that. A little nugget fact, the kit that we're playing, that you guys see us play, I actually called Jim, called CNC, back and forth, and basically talked him into telling me exactly what his kit was. So they cloned his kit, his custom kit that no one has, because the drums are so good. We're I'm slightly obsessed with it.
we
Have
are
been
kind
for
of
years.
obsessed. Yeah.
So.
So maybe in the comments, put down an album that you're super obsessed with and that you really like the drum tones on.
This is autographed.
This is autographed too. How's that?
Sounds better.
Yeah. Wait, yeah, it does.
Thanks for watching this episode. Hit like if you liked it, subscribe to the channel.
And hit the bell icon to get notifications of future episodes.
And in those comments below, maybe tell us how to make Q&As better.
Yeah, because this could be terrible.